will start this recording with a disclaimer that I will be working in a pilot sandbox today of training data that is all fake and false data because we do not want to share any personal information on students or teachers anywhere in the state of Alabama. So all data that you see today will be scrambled, fake, non-matching data on any realistic person, except for myself. I actually will be sharing some of my certification data so that you can see it in real time, and I'm giving myself permission to share that data. No FARPA violations here. All right, hopefully you are looking at a website that you have seen, and if not, it is a URL that you need to note of. The Alabama PowerSchool Edition website is where we are putting the repository of all the documentation that we use for trainings to help districts as they navigate how to use PowerSchool in the most appropriate manner. As you see on this page right here, if I can get my mouse scrolling correctly, let me hide this little thing. You'll see the different topics. So if you need to know anything on career tech, attendance, grading, Power Teacher Pro, you name it, you go through here. You click on those, and there's tons of videos and documentation for you. I will be adding a certification piece that'll have this documentation along with many links that I will be showing you today. So if you don't know where the chat is on WebEx, you need to locate it now because I will be sharing quite a few links with you today. In fact, let me go ahead and copy this and paste it in the, thank you, Brian Thomas, you're on it for me. He has just shared that link out there with everyone for this page right here. So in the scheduling page that we have currently stood up, we have information on Power Scheduler, how to schedule collaborative teachers appropriately in the SIS, modifying schedules, things such as that. Oh, need to change the rights on that one. I will be adding a certification box up here so that we can tie all the certification materials on this page, and you'll have a one-stop reference to go to for all the information that you want. So I'm going to minimize that, and we are going to come over into PowerSchool. So what I want to start with first, because where all of this starts tying together really starts at the staff level and what you have entered into your staff inside of PowerSchool. I know we're so used to putting it all into the HR system and really that feeding in everywhere, but we're starting to tie all this into PowerSchool and getting it in a one-stop shop for us. So when you're in PowerSchool, I'm going to go over here to students and swap it to staff. So if you've never seen how to search for a staff member, here's how you would do this on here. Simply type in the last name of your staff member. So I'm going to look up. Hang on, let me refresh my page, y'all. Myself. So one of the most important pieces in tying this whole staff record to everything that we have in this big circle of data is going to be this field right here of the ALSDEID. I know you have seen numerous memos. Dr. Mackey has mentioned it in his midweek manners. It's been in my Monday newsletter for PowerSchool for quite a while that ALSDEID numbers are required on all of your employees in your system. That is certified and non-certified employees, because this ties back to what we are housing in TCERT with all of those certifications and endorsements that employees have on file, all the way down to things such as bus certifications, lunch certifications, substitute certifications. This is going to be the tie-in. If you do not have an ALSDEID number entered in on a staff member, there's no way for the system to start doing the checking. And so anywhere you have this person placed, if I had myself placed in a certain staff role, I would automatically be out of field for it because it can't read any certifications. This is bringing in the certifications that you will see at the very bottom of your screen. So this is where a lot of districts have worked on quite a bit of data entry over the past year in updating the staff positions for their employees. Down at the bottom, this is all the background check, the degree equivalents, and the certification type is what is being fed in from TCERT so that you can see whatever certifications have past or present on all of your employees. Someone just popped in the chat, do nurses have ALSDEIDs? Anybody who has a created AIM account has an ALSD EID. And when we apply to teach, we get our fingerprints ran, and that is going to trigger an ALSD EID account. If you have someone who does not have the ALSD EID, I know some people have emailed me about SROs that don't have them. You can simply have them create an AIM account just for it to trigger that number for you so that you can then add it in there. If you go to AIM and certification search, you can search for your nurses and you'll be able to see anybody with or without a certificate listed there so that you can get that ALSD EID number to add into PowerSchool. I do have a good document that will walk you through 3 different ways to find those ALSDEs if anyone needs that document. If you'll notice in the bottom here, when it talks about the certification types, you're going to see the types of certification, the endorsements that are listed, and whether they're still in an effective date. Important things to note that is going to be this endorsement right here, because every course has endorsements listed to it. Endorsements are tied up under the different types of certificates, the different types of degrees, the different types of associations in that whole certification process. And so what I want to do today is show you where all these are found inside of PowerSchool and in the website of the State Department so that you can see how you are scheduling these teachers, and if somebody's been scheduled for a class that you thought they had an endorsement for that they actually don't. So first I want to start off with a website that the state houses that shows all of the courses and what endorsements are available for those courses or must be there for those courses to be taught. Because we're about to be on master scheduling season. And even as we go into semester 2, some people are realizing that they might have made some mistakes on teachers. We've seen it with some of the teams documentation where course numbers that have different endorsements were used in wrong situations. And we can correct all of that. It's just a matter of having the knowledge of what it should be on the correct end. So how many of you have been, and I'm going to throw this link in chat to this website right here, courses.alsde.edu. This is I call it the old subject and personnel codes file that we used to all get emailed for many years that had all of the information about courses, who could teach them, what course numbers. Well, that's all been electronic and made on here where you can search it on the fly. When you go to this website and you click on active courses, here you will see all the courses that are actively available to be taught inside of the state of Alabama. We are a state of controlled state course numbers, and so these are the only course numbers we can use without using any shred outs that are possible on some courses. I'm just going to pick this computer science elective grade 7 through 12 to show as an example. When you pull this course up, here is all the relevant information you need to know on it. The course number to use to schedule it, the type of course level. Here's the big thing down here. Endorsements. What endorsement must an employee have in order to teach this course right here? So if you're deciding that you're a district and you want to teach a computer science elective grade 7 through 12, then you would have to make sure you had an employee that had one of these endorsements. Now, do we know that there are teaching shortages and you might not be able to get somebody to fill this and purposely putting someone in out of field? Yes, we realize that that is the reality, and this program is not going to stop you from doing that because you have to do what you have to do to staff your building. Completely understand that. But if you do believe that your person has that certification and you're putting them in there the right way, we want to show you how to do your checks and balances to make sure they are not counting against you for leaving off some type of endorsement that was actually needed to teach a class. So if you do not have this document, notice it's very large, and some classes have way more endorsements than others. So if I go back, and let's just do a CAD class, you'll see much shorter, but it gives you your specific ones. So as you are placing these courses into your master schedule, you want to keep in mind the types of endorsements that a teacher must have when you're scheduling them in the classes. Now, I know what everyone is going to say. Stacy, I'm a counselor. I'm building the master schedule for my principal. I have no clue what endorsements a teacher has. How am I supposed to figure out if they're actually qualified to teach the course if the principal has told me put them in that course? Where's the checks and balances? How do I do that? Well, we get that a lot of the people who are doing scheduling don't actually have access over an AIM to that certification search to actually look up the teachers. But you do have it inside of PowerSchool. And in fact, we've put in a report, or we put a report out there that is available to everyone that you can run. It's an enterprise report, so you can search for staff who have certain endorsements. So let's just take this endorsement right here. Let's see, I maybe want to think about offering this CAD class right here. And I see that it has endorsement 025FB. Let's see if I can copy that. I'm going to go and search my district to see if I have a teacher who has that endorsement who would be eligible to teach that class. So in system reports, I'm going to come over to enterprise reporting. And inside enterprise reports, if your tech person has installed this for you, you have an ALSDE staff certification information report. We pulled in all of the data from that staff profile that I just showed on my record to this report, so you could search for all of your employees on a fly, whoever has access to this. So even if I am the one doing the master scheduling, or I am a curriculum coordinator and I'm trying to figure out, are we going to offer these new programs within the district, within a high school, within elementary school, I can look to see who's available that actually has that endorsement needed to teach that. So if I wanted to look at certification type, because here are my endorsements. Oh, I get this question a lot on this report right here. They say, Stacy, why is a person listed twice sometimes in these? Well, there are multiple fields and multiple columns that you can go and select that aren't necessarily displayed. Like there are five more columns of data that I could add over here to this. If any of those show multiple entries, that teacher name is going to display more than once. I mean, somewhere in one of those columns, they have multiple entries in there. So remember, I want to see if anybody in my district, and right now I'm looking at 3,000 employees in here, have a certain endorsement. So what was it again? Let's go back over here, 025FB. So I'm going to come back here, and I can search or start searching, or I can start typing technical education. Let's do it by the name. I think it was just technical ed. So if I want to just look, do I have anybody with just technical education? Typically, anybody who has one is going to show popped up here. So it looks like I might not have anybody. But if I wanted to see who had, you know, this one right here, technical education, computer science, T5 2FC. Let's see if that one is. I'll have to have one of these type here to be able to teach this class, and it didn't look like that I had anybody in there, so that would be a problem. So those are how you could go in to find who do you have employed in your district with certain endorsements who might be able to teach some of these specialty classes that kind of always catch us off guard right here. I know some of the others that we have to work with are like our special ed collaborative type endorsements that we have to watch for to make sure that if we're putting somebody in a collaborative position inside of one of these classes, that they actually have that endorsement in their degree with it. So again, you can come up here and you can click an endorsement and start typing. So I can see I have collaborative special ed teacher. So I can see that these employees right here, I can see what certificate level they have, because when you look at the endorsement, the other thing that you have to look at is the type of certificate, because what we strive for everyone to have is that professional certificate. But we do know that we have people in our system that are on provisional certificates and that are on alternate certificates. And they have slightly different rules that we have to watch out for when it comes to their scheduling. Because if a person is on an alternate certificate or a provisional certificate, they are working towards their professional certificate, which means their schedule needs to be really inclusive of just the courses that are valid for that certification. You don't want to put them in those catch-all courses. In fact, there is a document, and I have it right here. Let me grab this link. and I'm going to throw it in chat, of some things that we do across the state to add classes to our schedule that can harm a teacher that is on a provisional or alternate certificate from actually being considered in field. You want the majority of their classes to be their classes. If you've got a teacher who is working on an alternate certificate for, let's say, English language arts, then their classes need to be complete English language arts classes. They don't need a schedule full of study hall or survey electives or enrichment, or a lot of us use this schedule filler class for things such as advisory and stuff like that. And so if you have teachers with those types of certificates and lots of these courses, they will not be counted in field in the certification department. I know they've had lots of conversations about that. And so if you've not seen this document, be aware of it and be aware of the people who are creating your master schedule, and make sure that we're not using catch-all numbers for courses when we should be using actual course numbers for those offerings. Things such as our speech, our hearing, our language courses that you have your services teachers teaching. I've caught a lot of times where I see schools are using the schedule filler class for those teachers when they should be using that actual hearing language services course. And so if you ever have a question on what course to use, if you're not sure, feel free at any time, reach out to me, reach out to the certification department. We will tag team together to make sure that you have the correct courses in on your teachers, so you get them as in field and they don't count against you on your upcoming state and federal reports, because this out of field reporting is going to be reported. So does anyone have any questions on this report and how to search so that you can see who has what type of endorsement before we start jumping into the scheduling of them and start tying this together? I'll give just a second to see if anything comes in chat. Yes, Sharon, I'll go right back through the steps. So when you're on this report, and there's lots of things right here. I mean, if you want to use this report to see, who you've got in a certain staff position, or who's got background checks done and who's not, all of that can be done. But I know the one thing that most people want to do is look at this certification type. Kristen just asked, what if PowerSchool's not showing the updated certificates, but they are updated in AIM? If you see them in T-Cert and don't see them in here, we'll probably need to get a ticket into the service desk at the State Department. So the AIM team, because they kind of manage the flow of this data from AIM into PowerSchool, so they can see if it was in their file that they recently uploaded from AIM. So and let me type that email address in. It's servicedesk@alsde.edu. If y'all ever see a disconnect between what you have in PowerSchool and what is listed over in T-Cert, email the service desk so that they can check the file and see. If this report is not available to you in the SIS right now, so that means that, and Richard, I know this would be you and your district, on that website that I shared, let's go back, sites.google.com, there is an enterprise reports tab right here. There's a video right here that will walk you through how to configure these enterprise reports for your district. And if you are trying to figure out how to use enterprise reports as an end user, this video right here is for you. But here is a spreadsheet of all of the enterprise reports that we have put out there so far that districts can download to use. There's tons of things on here. So the staff certification information right here, there is a link right here to download that you will install. There is a image of it right here. There is directions on exactly what to do and a video of actually how to use it. So I put lots of information on here. So if you've not downloaded this report for your district, or you are a district user and you don't see it, go tap your tech person on the shoulder and say, hey, Stacy said, will you please install this for me, so that you can have this information. All right, so going back to this enterprise report, I'm going to clear all of this out so that it just kind of comes back to a blank. So when you first go to it, you probably have, a lot of information that's just out there. This might be on active. Notice right now I've got active status, active, and inactive. You can do all kinds of filtering on this report. You can filter by just clicking on these right here and choosing from the list, or in this actions area, there is a filter right here as well where you can take whatever column and say, give me everybody whose certification level is not null. In other words, they've got something entered in PowerSchool. I want to see it. So I'm going to hit apply. And now I'm starting to get information on employees. If I want to keep adding more filters, give me everybody whose certification level contains leadership. I know sometimes a lot of people go tell me, hey, can I get a list of all my people who have a leadership certificate in the district? Whatever it is, you can filter any of these that you want, whether it's these columns. There are other columns. I always tell people, if you're using enterprise reports for the first time, always go to actions and select columns to see what other columns you might have. So notice here, if I wanted to have certification type and certification status in this chart right here, all I do is add it over there. So now I can see if I'm looking at a class A, a class B, and things such as that. So any of those certifications that are kept inside of T-Cert are all being pumped into PowerSchool so that y'all can kind of stay in one area to get all the information on your employees as you're building your data repository inside of PowerSchool. Okay, Kara. Brian, I submitted a ticket for all. Here was a response. This is an issue on its development to work on. Oh, got you and Brian. We're talking about something. Sorry, I couldn't see that in chat. Tanya, what about STEM certifications for Teams teachers? I don't know that one is actually listed in T-Cert, Tanya. Kelly, do y'all know if that one is listed in T-Cert?
No, STEM courses are not. It's only math, science, and computer science.
Perfect. Yes, Rebecca, I am recording this, so it will be available. And I'm sure this will probably just be the first of many that we'll have along the way, because after y'all digest all of this today, and we're just halfway through it, I know that we'll have to have more for clarification. I promise y'all, trainings with me are never going to be a one and done. I'm here to continue supporting you as long as you need me, as long as you will have me. All right, so here's where you get your information on your teachers. So we know where to get what the courses themselves need to be taught as far as endorsements. That's on our courses app right here from the courses.alsde.edu website. We know how to look at teachers and see which endorsements they have so that we can make sure that they match up when we start to go add them to their schedule. So now let's start looking at these schedules. So I'm going to flip over to, and while I'm at district office, because I know one of the things when the certification department is working with the districts on employees and they're like, hey, we need you to send us a copy of your teacher's schedule, because what we're seeing in AIM, and I will tell you, the schedules tile in AIM, the one that we use, the one that y'all use to kind of look at infield and out of field, the AIM team is still rebuilding that entire report because it's still based on a lot of old iNow business rules and has not been migrated to all of the PowerSchool business rules. So actually, there's some more reports I'm going to show you in here. The districts have at their fingertips all of the reports to see who's actually in field and out of field right now, whereas the certification department has their hand kind of handicapped because they don't have the same reports you do that I'm going to be showing you in just a minute. So from time to time, they have to email and say, hey, I need you to send me a schedule listing of your teachers from district office so they can see all of their classes across all of the schools so that they can determine if they're in field or out of field and make sure they have the right designation on them inside of there. So if you do get an email like that, let me show you how you go about getting that. So I'm going to look up Miss Maggie right here. So notice when I look at Maggie, there's 2 users. One of them says OHS and one of them says district. When you get that call from Kelly or Siobhan or any of them in certification, and they say, hey, I need that report, and you see multiple profiles, pick the one from district office. We want you to be logged on to district office here. We want you to be in the entire year. Don't be in one of these subsets. So in some years, you might see the year and then you might see semester 1, semester 2, quarter 1. Don't be in one of those shorter terms, or else it will only display courses from those terms, and they need to see the entire year. So the things to check, make sure you're on the entire year. Make sure you're at district office. You go back to her name. Choose the profile from district office. So here's Miss Maggie. And up here in the top left, you see under functions, there's a current schedule. This will pull her at, now notice because I'm looking at district office, it's trying to say, hey, what's her current schedule at district office? Well, nobody teaches classes at district office, but it tells you what they are at other schools. So how many of you have floating teachers in your district? Very common practice. If you have teachers that teach at 2 or 3 schools across your district, then it will list all of those schools in this list, and you can use this as a print screen to send to the certification department to show everything. This will be a comprehensive view of it, and literally all you have to do is click on the little printer icon on the top to print this page, save it as a PDF to your computer, and you can email that on to the certification department, and it will include everything from every school that they teach at. That way you're not having to go school by school. How many of you have figured out what this little icon right here means? This is how we know to denote our collaborative teachers inside of PowerSchool. So if I want to know who the section teachers are for this, because apparently there's more than just Maggie teaching this, I can click, and sure enough, I can see she is the lead teacher, and I have a special ed collaborative teacher paired with her on that English grade 9 class. So you can use the icons, and you start learning these naming conventions inside of PowerSchool to know in-field, out-of-field. Pay attention to your course numbers. If this teacher has that alternate, that provisional certificate, these are the course numbers that you need to check from this list right here to make sure that you're not over scheduling for these classes, because you're only allowed one of these courses. If you have one of those special certificates, if you're not professionally certified yet, you can't have more than one of those, or that automatically flags you as an out of field. So be very careful with that. So any questions on how to run that report for the team at the department? Hey, Melissa, that you just put me in chat about that Career Tech program one, if you'll shoot that to me in an email, I can get that taken care of. Carrie, what report were you wanting the name of? The enterprise report that I ran? If so, it was called the ALSDE Staff Certification Information Report. Perfect. All right, so let's deep dive now into a school and start digging into these teacher schedules. Oh, Phyllis just asked, where do we find a list of courses that only can be assigned once? Phyllis, it's on this link right here. I'll throw it in chat one more time. Thank you, Jess, for helping out there. Cheryl's question, Kelly, can you answer that one? Cheryl's wanting to know for this list right here, is it one class per semester or one per year?
It is one for the year if they're on those provisional type certificates. Interim, PCTF and CCTF. So they can have one for the year of any of these courses. Even if you change them and put a name that's relevant to the course, if we look it up and it has this extension, they can only have credit for one course per year.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to say, because I know, I mean, even when I was back at the district and run the district, we shredded out courses left and right. This schedule filler we used for I can't tell you how many things. So we see a lot of people, excuse me, y'all, that will shred this out and call it technology education or something like that to try to make it reference, or they'll call it, English essential something to try to make it relevant. but the name does not make it relevant. It is the course number that guides everything. So we really got to make sure that we have the right course number in there. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to sit there and panic and go, "Oh my Stacy, I have scheduled things wrong. We know it was supposed to be this. Can I fix it now?" The answer to that is yes. You can. Course numbers can be changed in teacher schedules throughout the year. We could not do it now. You used to have to like unenroll the kids and re-enroll them. It was a lot of work. It is so much easier to do in PowerSchool, but you need to do it correctly. So if you find that you do have some issues and you want to schedule a one-on-one WebEx with me for me to sit down and go through with you to show you how to swap these out so we get the right course codes on your teachers so that they're teaching what they're supposed to be teaching, I will be more than happy to do that with you at any time. So don't sit there and worry and don't sit there and struggle. That's what I'm here for. All right, I'm going to flip from district office over to Opelika High School. And I'm still on my staff, so I'm going to look at Maggie right here. And here's Maggie's schedule. So as I can see right here, I have all of these different course numbers in here. I know her certifications because if I want to go here, and I'm going to clear all of these out, and I'm going to filter for last name. Here, I can see that here are the certifications that she has. So she has English Language Arts. She actually has, looks like some career tech stuff as well. So business marketing education and career technologies. So for these courses here, I would have to make sure that those certifications were appropriate for them. Now, most of you know some of these backwards and forwards and know that English Language Arts are going to suffice all of these ELA. You know that ACT Prep, or do I know ACT Prep? Look at this number, 22006X110. Watch what happens when I come over here and I search that number. Well, if I can get it to come up. Oh, I don't know why. There you go. It's a study hall. So see, it's a renamed one. It's one of those that is on this list right here. So see, I did a shredded out course of that. So you've got to be mindful of that, that's going to be one of those. So if Maggie was on a provisional, I would be in trouble because she has go back. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those study hall courses on her schedule. Now, she is not provisional. She is a professional certificate. So she's fine to have that. But if she's one of those alternate certificates, I could not have that in her schedule. She would need to be mainly inclusive. And can see here's another one. This academic opportunity is actually that's that schedule filler course. So she's got another one. If she was on a provisional certificate, then her course numbers need to be all straight from whatever certificate she is provisional for. The ELA, let's say that it's that she's going for. You don't need to put these extra courses up under there. Those need to go to a teacher that actually has a professional certification. And that's to help this teacher and to help you because you want this teacher to be successful in EdTPA and make sure that they are doing everything they need to in their coursework that they're trying to get certified for. Sorry, y'all, I had to take a drink of water real quick. All right, Robert, to find those alternate certificates, we filter for provision on the enterprise report. So yeah, let's go back to that. Let me come out of this. So if you look at the certification levels, you're going to see, so if I wanted to see who all's on an alternate certificate. So here we go. I've got somebody on a conditional certificate for Teachers of Tomorrow. If I wanted to see who was on, let's see, you got your emergency certificates, your provisional certificates, they should all be listed. So if you just go in here and click on your certification level in that report, you will start seeing all of the different types of certifications that your employees currently have. So it'll only populate what not all that are possible out there in the world, but what's possible within your district. If your teacher gets a new one, it'll add to that list. Nathan asks, how can you tell if someone doesn't have a certificate of any type? So that's when you can search for those that are null, Nathan. And that's something that I tell people to do a lot of times when you start running reports. Come over here to your filter and find where it is null, meaning it's blank. They got nothing entered. Hit apply. And so I could go, why do I not have anything on Blake Busman or Danny Cooper? Well, I can tell just by looking at this right here why nothing's showing for Blake. Can anybody look at this line and tell me what's wrong with this line and why I don't have any data over here for Blake? What's missing? No ID. Exactly. Right off the bat, if there's no T-cert number in here, you're not going to get any information on them. So what I would do is make sure I'm taking care of all of my ALSD EID numbers. And just to show you, when you're in PowerSchool, you got to be on the main page, and it can be at the school or district. If you scroll down to the very bottom under Level Data Apps, under State Validation, there's a staff tab. This state validation, if you've not laid eyes on it, guys, it's your living and breathing data in PowerSchool and where you have possible issues at. If you look at the staff data, these two right here need to be checked regularly. You never want numbers here. Do you have anybody with an invalid ALSD EID or missing an ALSD EID? Yep, I've got 15 employees. I don't have a number in. Well, that's a problem for more than just certification. That's a problem for assessment, for accountability, for all kinds of reporting. Hit the fix button. It will bring up a list, and you can go and throw those in real quick so that you know. And then as soon as you do, it will pull that data in overnight as those runs do. Dave, yes, David, it does list expired. It shows any certificates that they have. So there is a certification status. So let's get rid of that. And you can filter for these. So if you want date to end or date to start to be something, it's got to be more current than today, then you can filter by those as well. Who's responsible for fixing for the ALSD EID number, Melissa? That is a complete district decision. Districts need to get together and make a plan for this because this is new. We didn't have this like this in INAL. It used to be HR was in HR and everybody was in McAleer except for there's a few people not in McAleer, there's something else, and INAL was INAL. Well, it's all coming together. So now you've got this big piece of staff inside of PowerSchool, and districts need to have that conversation of it's got to be attended to. It's got to be kept up. Who's going to do it? And the decision has to be made at that level. I have seen some that HR is turned on to this staff page. Some people don't want to do that. They say, well, I don't want to give them access to students. You can segment security in PowerSchool to lock down to specific pages. So this can be set up where only certain people have access to staff and only certain people have access to students. I've seen other districts that say, nope, PowerSchool admin, you're going to do it. Everybody's different. The size of your difference, of your district, the scope of the hats that you wear, all play a big key into that. Nicole said, my report is pulling staff that are not active. How can that be corrected? So do you see how you have this active status column over here, Nicole? If you click in that active status, you see active and inactive. And inactive employees will always be in your database, but you're right. You don't want to look at them when you're looking at this. So all you need to do is say, just show me active. And then see how it throws this filter? Now you're not looking at your inactive anymore. They're there if you ever need to look at them. We always like to give you more and let you back out. But I'd hate to not give it to you to begin with, and then you need it, and I can't get it to you. So, yeah, love the filtering on these reports. They are really, really beneficial in this. So, find and fix those ALSD IDs. Now, let me show you another page. So these were just added in. So if you go to the 5th page of this staff report, here is where you're going to start seeing, look at these last 4, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see these. You see these? Staff endorsements. You hover over it. Certain course sections, depending on the instructional delivery method, require staff members associated to the section to hold a specific endorsement. The staff member's role within the section also determines what endorsements they must hold and when this check is enforced. So, in other words, are you scheduling teachers in sections of courses where their endorsements don't meet the requirements to teach that? Right now, you can go see and list anybody that has that. So I've got 15 people scheduled to a course that's throwing out of field errors, basically. And so look at why. Now, some of it could be like, what did we determine with Blake a while ago? He doesn't have an ALSD EID number in my system yet. So because of that, it can't pull his certifications to know if he's actually able to teach this U.S. history. I happen to know he is certified for that. But without that ALSD EID number in there to connect it, I can't make that. But now this one right here, so I've got Dowdell here teaching Introduction to Robotics. Okay, these are the endorsements that are required to teach that course. Well, let's look at Mr. Dowdell right here. Whoops. That was weird. Let's try that again. Okay, somebody's in my sandbox. They do it this way. Let me get to the staff. And go to Mr. Dowdell. Oh, which one was he? Well, let's just do it from here. Let's get a last name. Dowdell. And I can see he was this one, and sure enough, he's got a general social science, which that endorsement 022FF. Again, come up under here, go to my list. 022FF is not one on there because a social science is not, oh, go down here, Introduction to Robotics is not going to get you an intro to robotics in-field experience. So some of those are going to be legit, and you're going to see that. So this is where you can kind of start seeing who you possibly have in the wrong areas. So this is checking against sections. Now, sections aren't the only thing that require certain certifications or endorsements. Staff positions also require certain endorsements and certifications. Can't just anybody be a principal. There's a certain certification to be that. So if you've got somebody in a staff position where it's not seeing certification requirements for them, those will be listed as well. So for example, right here, this says I've got this person in as an athletics director, but apparently that staff position has an endorsement that's required that he does not have. And so you can see all of that together. So sure enough, there's my staff position. Here are the endorsements that I have. So something's not there for it to be considered an athletic director. Now, people are going, well, how do I know what all of that is? Okay, so hold your breath because I'm going to show you a really big document right now, but it's the document that holds all the keys to the kingdom. How many of you have ever been to the Alabama's Data Code Manual? I'm going to put this in here. Bookmark that link somewhere. This is all the codes inside of PowerSchool, how they're to be used. Inside of this, at the top, let me get back on this screen, Section 6, Staff Classification, Roles, and Instructional Delivery. There are 4 very, very important pieces of information here. I'm going to start from the right and work my way back left, explaining these to you. First, let's look at this certification matrix. I'm going to do two things at once, so y'all bear with me because I want to go back to Maggie. And I want to go to her schedule and pull up the schedule because I need to see it in PowerSchool and then see it in this matrix for this to make sense. I'm going to click on this section number of English grade 9. Here is where a teacher is scheduled in PowerSchool. Here is the course number. Here is the period. Here is the length of the class. But do you see these three parts right here? Those three parts are like the three combinations on your lock. Those are your three numbers that determines whether your lock opens or closes on this in field and out of field right here. Because depending on if they're a lead teacher role or if they have additional staff, so let's just say I'm going to throw in a EL collaborative. Okay. And then this instructional delivery. Depending on the instructional delivery type that this course is, and there are 4, standard instruction, you're teaching it in your school. It doesn't matter if it's face-to-face, virtual, hybrid. It's your teachers, you're teaching them, you're doing the content, you're administering, you're assessing. Virtual instruction, kids going to Access. Access is doing it. Virtual instruction that's not in your district. So maybe you're using an Edgenuity, an Edminimum, or something like that. Or college instruction. They're doing a dual enrollment class and it's a college teacher that's doing it. You need to make sure that you have the correct instructional delivery type on your sections. Because depending on this, tells this program what to check for these as whether they're in field or out of field. Because we know if you have a student who is going to University of Alabama in an early entry class, dual enrollment, and they're being taught by a teacher at the University of Alabama, but you've got them on a schedule in your database with the counselor as the facilitator, you don't need the counselor to be checked to be in field because they're not the teacher. If you don't have the instructional delivery type correct on there, it's going to check it and you're going to get an out of field hit when you shouldn't be. So let me go back. Oops, here. This document shows you based on the instructional delivery method. So do you see them here? And depending on the lead teacher type role, whether they get checked for in field or out of field or not. So here's your first key to the puzzle. Check your instructional delivery of the section, check the role, and check whether it's being checked for in field or out of field. Now, let me talk about these co-teaching roles. And y'all are going to see me sidewind. I promise I'll tie all this back together. Co-teaching roles are set up inside of PowerSchool. They are controlled by the state. The co-teaching roles page was not locked down when PowerSchool went live. Some districts went in and created their own roles. Let me show you where I'm talking about in this because I really want to make sure that nobody gets bit by this. When you're under your system administrator page, under security setup, there's roles administration. There are these co-teaching roles. Do you see I have lead teacher and then these 4? That is all anybody should see in theirs. If you see anything else or anything different and you have placed it on a teacher, the rules will not apply right to you. You are automatically making your people out of field if you're using them. You've got to only use state-provided co-teaching roles. So if you are using any roles, I have seen it. I have seen people who put a resource teacher down here and they put a this teacher and a that teacher and have been assigning them in these schedules. That is going to go against the logic. It's going to go against the business rules that they're pulling for accountability and for federal and state reporting. So if you have created extra roles, you need to get rid of them and you need to swap your teachers to one of these 4 right here because that's all you can have on there. We'll go back to the Statico manual. So you'll see that on these right here, And somebody had asked, well, what do these instructional delivery types mean? What do they look like? Well, see this third tab right here? Here's your definitions of them. So this helps you to figure out what it means to place them in there. So what does it mean for virtual instruction non-LEA? It's a vendor-provided instruction in a virtual learning environment. Is it a vendor other than you providing this? Is non-LEA? Is it a college course instruction taken from an LEA-approved post-secondary institution? Is it Access providing instruction in a virtual learning environment? I know that right there really made a lot of people were very concerned, because when they were putting people in to these Access classes and they were putting in people as the lead teachers, because you can't really put them in as the facilitator like we did in iNow, because you just have that lead teacher role inside of PowerSchool. Again, if I go back to this right here, if that's all they're going to be, then the facilitator role, well, it doesn't even show up here. It's just going to be co-teacher. And so the facilitator comes in knowing that it's from one of these other types of instructional delivery. Get my right page inside of there. All right, let me see these questions that I just got in. The train for Cheryl, the train for what? To get to this document here? Or how I got to those co-teaching roles? Oh, yep. So when you back to the beginning, and you can do it from the school or district, either one. You scroll down under Setup and System. PowerSchool, don't go down on me now. And it's under the security area. You're going to look for roles administrations. So roles administration, and it's co-teaching. So yes, first thing, if you are HR and you're like, hey, I got to make sure we're doing this right, lay eyes on this page. Andy's asking, how does this apply to credit recovery? Well, it depends on the mode credit recovery is being taught. So is it a local led face-to-face credit recovery? If so, that teacher that's the lead teacher is going to be checked inside of there. Oh, thank you, Jessica, for putting that breadcrumb in there for me. All right, so I'm going to go back to the Data Code Manual. So that explains the instructional delivery type. Here are the teacher roles. And again, this is just the documentation of the who and the what's. They're pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody kind of has the idea of what they are and what they mean. But now I want to go to this first tab, because here is where I'm going to blow your mind. Yes, Brian, anything beyond those from the state should be cleared and deleted. You should only have those that were pushed out from the state. All right, I'm actually going to come up here and pop this spreadsheet out separate, because what I want you to do is look at the bottom of this spreadsheet. Do you see all of these tabs? Positions, background status, certification status, degree, certificates. Like, keep scrolling. Just roll to the side. When I tell you the certification department spent hours, Kelly and them will agree, hours, days, months, putting this information together so that y'all will be able to search and find it, they did. And it is wonderful. It finally is a place where you can go and start cross-referencing everything. So you remember how a while ago I was on that report and it said that I had a person as an athletic director, but it says they didn't have the endorsements. So you're like, well, how do I know what endorsements an athletic director has? Maybe you're new to your HR position and you're trying to figure this out to make sure that you're working with the schools to make sure their master schedules are correct and what they're placing teachers in for. Here is where you find all that. So if you find that staff position, and y'all remember, if you're not very tech savvy with Excel, Control F as in food, because I like to eat. Control F is your friend and will allow you to search and find. So if I want to find athletic, There's athletic coach. Athletic coach. Let's see if I can find director of athletics. All right, so there is that position. What does it say they need to have? And so this will tell you what's got to be had in that certificate and the different type of endorsements that that person can have or must have to be able to hold that position in your school. So if you have questions on what does a person have to have that certification, to have that position, you can look at it here. So there's your positions. Here's your different certification statuses. Here's different certificates. So if you're like, okay, what code, what does it mean to have these different certificates? Every one of these will explain and give you all the information. Here's your endorsements. If you want to know what endorsements for each types of values, there they are. Control F, search, find, and you can start making sense of all of those different ones. So, I mean, any of these, all this information in here, every one of the codes. Save this somewhere and spend some time on it. Wrap your head around it, and it'll start putting all of these pieces together. Because it's going to be looking at the schedule, looking at that instructional delivery, looking at the certificates they have, and watching how all of that ties together. And guys, I know that that is a ton of information right there. How do you start? Where do we need to start tracking down? Are we on the right path or are we not? So here's the first thing I would say. Find out who your alternate and provisional certificated people are. Okay, if you're the HR person in your district, I bet you can pull them out on the list right now because y'all are good at your jobs. Every HR person I've talked to, y'all are on top of things. If not, come in here, search that spreadsheet. Check their schedules. Make sure that you've not inadvertently done something to their schedule that's causing them to be an out of field mark against your district and you didn't mean to. And let's see if we need to fix anything. Start looking at your second semester schedules and see if you need to readjust anything. Start looking at it as you go into next year's master schedule that I know some are already working on. Next thing that I would do, and guys, you can actually do this from the district office. So I'm going to flip back to district. Go into level data. Check for the employees who don't have the ID numbers in so you can get those in. Start seeing who you, whoops, wrong thing. Start looking at who you may or may not have in an incorrect position. I know sometimes people have called people who just hadn't had their paperwork finished and didn't realize it. They thought this whole time that they had finished their certification, all the paperwork had been completed and been processed, and they found them on an error on here and realized that something had gotten hung up, made a call to the department, and they got it all straightened out. So we know different things can happen. It's not always in the scheduling piece that a mistake can happen. It's in lots of other different things. So Kelly, you want to jump in? Is there anything that y'all want to say from the alternate or from even the special ed side about doing the collaboratives and making sure that they are correct in here that y'all want to add to or want me to go over?
Stacey, I think you did a wonderful job. The biggest thing is the consistency in the schedules that we received. And I think you went over that. We needed to be from the district level. We need to see it from the yearly view. You need to ensure if anybody is on those alternative routes to certification, that their schedules only show that they're teaching only the one class that anyone can teach, just one period, even if you're shredding it out to change the name to be more in line to what the district has requested. We look at the course code, and if the course code pulls up one of those names that's on there, even though you changed it, it will be considered one of those one courses. And then, but Stacey, I would like you to go over a little bit more of the special education part of it. So if they are co-teaching, to make sure that they understand that if it's one of the AAS courses, that they are going to need to be the primary teacher. But if they are teaching traditional courses, that they need to be listed as the co-teacher, and we need to be able to see that view once they submit those schedules, especially for the TSEC approach.
Perfect. Let's show that. So I've got this one keyed up right here. So I want to show this teacher first. Let's go down and look at her certification information because she is in. And you will see special ed collaborative. So this is your typical special ed collaborative teacher and what they are certified to teach. So if I wanted to go look at the schedule, if she is doing a true push-in collaborative model, then this is what I would expect to see a schedule for that teacher to look like. So she is special ed collaborative in this English grade 9 class. So if I click on this section number, you're going to see this is here goes back to that little 3-piece to the lock, standard instruction. I have a lead teacher who was Maggie, who is certified to teach English, is the lead teacher on here. And then Emery is a additional staff member with a teacher that is a special ed collaborative that is in combination with this lead teacher. So that is how you appropriately schedule a special ed collaborative to work alongside where a lead teacher is a certified teacher of record for the actual class. Now, if it is one of the AAA classes, so let's just go find, I'm going to come down here to school. I'm going to take y'all all through PowerSchool today. I'm going to go to sections. And let's see if I have, I think maybe I've got a AAA 10. There we go. I have a teacher who is scheduled for AAA 10. So if it is a true AAA course number, then when you are scheduling that, as long as that teacher has that certification for that AAA class, then you just list them as a lead teacher. They don't show as a special ed collaborative in this situation because they are the ones certified for that. So again, you'd have to look at that certification. So this is on Newell. So if I go to the staff and I'll look up Elizabeth. Again, these are all fake teachers, by the way. And I go to the information and scroll down. Well, I don't have an ALSD ID number, so I don't have any information there. So she would be out of field. But if I were to have it and look, you would see that it would show the appropriate certifications on there. So those are your differentiations on that type of scheduling when it comes to the special ed side. Now, another thing that we see, and let me go back to Fortenberry to see this. A lot of districts, and I did this even when I was back in Opelika. Let me go back to the current schedule. You'll see a lot of times on your collaborative teachers, you'll see caseload classes as well. And a lot of times we use this schedule filler class. You'll see a separate period outside of the bell schedule that a lot of schools are using to schedule these teachers' caseloads into. So they have one place that they can go to look at all the grades and information on the kids so that they can do what they need to as far as caseload management. It also gets them all into one group in special programs. It gets them into, third-party assessment so that if you're like EL and you're an EL collab, you might have them all in there. And in this case, it is fine to put that teacher in. Again, keeping in mind that them not being provisional or anything, you want to keep that in the back of your mind. They can be lead teacher of this, and it's just being used as a caseload class for grouping purposes, for reporting and things such as that, not necessarily facilitating any academic progress or anything in this class. So a lot of people are doing that alongside some of the special ed collaborative classes, and that is perfectly fine. All right, I've seen some questions come in. And guys, those same rules apply for your EL collabs as well. All right, somebody asked, yes, we will be giving this recording out. It is being recorded. Joyce said, you had a document on how to find ALSDE ID numbers. Can you share that? Yes. Let me see if I can. I think I have it here. I think I pulled it to my state stuff. I'm pretty sure. Give me 1 second. It's in my OneDrive. I'm just going to go ahead and link it real quick. I think it's printable. Yep, there it is. How to find your ALSDE ID numbers. I probably need to put that on that website as well. Right, make sure, because WebEx does funny, y'all. That link that I just put in, copy that whole link and paste it in a new browser, and it'll come up correctly. But that is the link that will show you. And let me just open it so you can see. It goes through 3 different ways. There's a way to go into Education Directory and search for it. There's a way to go into, you can actually go into Professional Learnings and search for it. And you can also go into Certification Search. So lots of different ways in there, but that's ways you can find them in mass and like download them if you need to. Let me go back to the questions. Jill, as an MTSS implementation coach, is it possible to have access to the fake database to familiarize ourselves with where some of this information is located? So if our district, Jill, are you at the state level or at a school level? If you're at the state level, yes, I can do that. Just shoot me an email, Jill, and we can go through that. Lynn, most of our errors are coming in with our teachers that are facilitators for virtual classes instruction through Edgenuity. They are listed as lead teacher. How do we need to fix those so they don't get flagged? So, Lynn, that's going to come back to your instructional delivery type. So, what instructional delivery type do you have those listed as? Selena said, will you send instructions for creating an account for staff with no ALSDE ID for like an SRO? So, Selena, it's just like doing a regular one. What I would have is have your SROs just go to AIM. You know, if you go, because all you need is them to trigger this. Just have them go to aim.alsde.edu. And if they'll click this need an account and just create an account, that will then trigger it at the state level where you can then go use those instructions I just sent and search for their ALSDE ID number. So it will put one in there for them. Will districts continue to receive the out of field report, or will they strictly be checking PowerSchool for that now? Well, we hope to have that out of field report fixed in AIM so that once they get all those business rules, you'll see it in there, because I like for you to have it in 2 places so you can have checks and balances. And we even got something else on the back burner that's going to be announced after Christmas that's going to be even better as far as checking that. Let's see. Can you show the trail on how to find out of field again? I sure can. So when you are on the main screen, you got to always start from the main screen. It's in level data. So under level data, state validation, you want to go to the staff tab. And my 2 important things, remember, ALSDE IDs here is on page 1, but on the last page, because these were newly added, page 5, there's your invalid staff positions and invalid sections. Terry, is there a way to put all the links on one document for us and send it out? Yes, Terry. When I send out the recording, so you know how everybody got the invite to register for this webinar? When the recording finishes rendering, I will reply all back to that, to everybody who got the invite with the recording and the links to all of this that I've shared today. So it'll be in one place for you. And I'll also put all of it on that Google site that I have going. Yes, Lynn, that's going to be it. You need to change it. It's a virtual non-LEA. Nicole, central office personnel are giving errors. For instance, they hold a bachelor's in business, but not education. Kelly, y'all want to speak to that? If they have central office personnel who are in staff positions, but they're getting an error for being, I guess, out of, it's in probably one of these because they don't have the educational certificate for it.
So they wouldn't be in they wouldn't be in schedules. Am I correct?
Right. So it wouldn't be an out of field or anything, but it's a.
Yeah.
So I don't think that is going to be on any of the federal or state reports. And I say yet because you never know when rules
No.
change.
Yes, you're right.
So Lynn, that's gonna be the same thing with your access facilitators. Make sure that make sure that that instructional delivery type is set to access. All right, and Jessica put the breadcrumbs in there of how to get to the state validation to get to this right here, so y'all can copy that. Emily, hello, my old friend. Just for clarification, if we have a teacher that has added a certification via the CBT approach and is showing out of error, do we need to email the service desk if the new certification isn't showing up? Yes, if you know that certification is listed for them in T-Cert and it's not showing in that, email service desk and let's make sure that those are updated correctly.
Emily, also, have you submitted an application? Just because they've taken a test, have the application been submitted and it's just waiting for us to review and issue?
And I'll tell you what, guys, let me okay, I have made it where you can come off of mute and speak. So Emily, you want to unmute right quick? Oh, she said it's already been issued.
It's
Yes, it's already been approved and it's showing on the portal, but it's just not in on the staff page. It's not under the certification type. So does that update nightly or how does
It is supposed to, but I will tell you everything with updates. We are still kind of almost building this plane as we go, and we have to check for things that will cause it to not update. So if you ever see it disconnect, just shoot service desk an email so that they can see what's going on with that file.
Okay, because I've got quite a few out there, and that's the reason. So I'll email them today.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Teresa, new computer, drop the link. Yeah, let me pull it down again. All right, Teresa wanted me to drop this link in chat again for the big site, so there it is. And if anybody else has any questions, feel free to come off of mute, and we'll spend a few more minutes troubleshooting. I hope y'all have found this informational and beneficial. Jill, anyone know right off which tables hold the teacher role assigned to a section is located? I've looked in sections and don't see it there. Teacher role. Is it it should be on the sections, Jill. It's gonna be sections and CC. But there's also another one. Shoot me an email, Jill, and I'll look it up and send it to you.
Stacy, I do have a question. When I'm looking at that report of, to figure out their out of area and you click on the teacher, is there a reason I got that same error that you did, the unauthorized data access detected?
I need to look at that. I want to say somebody actually found, I need to see, I think Scott emailed me, and with me have been gone to PSU last week and then having the flu this week, I'm behind on emails. I want to think he actually has put an update to this report out there because somebody found a bug in it, and that might be what it was. I've got to update this spreadsheet so that they have the new link to it. So that could, once I put that out there and y'all get that installed, could fix that issue.
Is that something that Landon will just install?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's real easy.
Level data doesn't update that for us in the state validation reports.
Oh, is it in the level data one, not in this one?
It was in the level data report where
it was
in the staff name.
Oh, it sure was.
Yeah,
I had that same error too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I did it earlier and it clicked on us. That's what something's going on with it. It might be that we have to. Yeah, we might have to put in a level data support ticket on that and see what's going on with that. But actually, let me do something, because literally, before I got on this webinar, I was just running through some stuff to make sure that everything was working right. Because I like to test technology, and I was able to look at it. So let me log out, and log back in, and see if it still throws that error.
Do you think it's because I'm in there too? This is Jessica.
It shouldn't be.
Okay.
I know sometimes, like if you try to do it from the district, not the school, and the school, not the district, it'll do something funny like that. Let's see. And that could. Okay, so I'm doing it from district. Well, let me do it from the school and see if that makes a difference. Because those sections are at the school, sometimes it'll. All right, so go to school. State validation. For everybody asking about SROs, they can just go to the AIM portal and just create an AIM account, and it will issue an ALSD EID number for them. That's what I just recommend everybody to do.
Stacy, when we were working on this initially last year, we found out people who didn't have an account, if they had done the background check, they still had that number in there. Whether
That's
they
right.
had an account with AIM or not.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure this out. I'll put in something with Level Data, y'all, and see what's going on with that, because they should be able to click into that.
But
If it's happening to all of us, it's got to be something on their end.
our SROs, they've never had ALSD ID numbers. Is that something that I need to set up for them?
Only if you're putting your SROs in PowerSchool. Some districts are and some are not. It depends on if they're actually employed with the district or not.
Oh no, we don't do it. Okay, good.
Stacy.
Yes.
Hey, just to be clear, on my facilitators for access, they have to be a lead teacher, but instructional delivery should be virtual instruction access, D20,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So why are they still showing as invalid sections?
Oh, we need to look at that, because it could be. I know Level Data is still working, because I think right now that report is only looking at the endorsements and not cross-referencing the instructional type yet, because we have found the errors with people having bad co-teaching roles in there, if that makes sense. And so they haven't put that second piece on there. So some of those validations are still being built out, and that one's only halfway there.
All right, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can tell you the business rules of what the state will be pulling will be taking both into account. That's why I want y'all to go ahead and work on fixing that instructional delivery type. Hey, Andy, if you're trying to access it from the State Department, it's because Google Sites is blocked at the state because we're not supposed to be using it. It's an illegal site that I have up until I can get an official state site, but I had to have somewhere to put all of this information. So you'll just have to access it off of the ALSDE network, and you'll be able to get to it. Robert, do we need to worry about entering support staff positions? Yes, Robert, you actually need to have all of your employees. You're paying them, they need to be in here. And then what staff position they have, because what we're trying to get an eye on that we really haven't had is how many staff positions are out there. I told a lot of people, sorry, y'all. When we're having to put these staff in, so like a lot of y'all are in districts where one person might wear 5 hats. And so you probably have 5 positions on them. This is going to be the first time that we're at the State Department are going to be able to see how widespread that kind of thing in districts actually is, because we have the capability of that kind of entry. We haven't had it in the past. And so we are asking that you put all of your employees in, even support staff, and put all positions that your people have. So if you have a person who is a federal programs director and a technology director and an assessment director and this and that, put all those positions on there. If you have a principal who's also a football coach, who's also a bus driver, they exist. I get it. I understand. What is in Alabama?
This teacher certification stuff is fixing to be deep.
Do you have a question, Johnny? I think he just come off mute.
Stacy, could I
Yeah.
follow up on that just there? Like, is there a way to maybe
Yeah.
export the list of possible positions? So, it's kind of like sometimes we don't know for sure that we need to list them
Yes.
and to be like, to just maybe fill in names on paper or in a spreadsheet and then look at getting it in there.
Oh yeah, okay, so do you have that set of directions that I have on how to mass import your staff positions? Inside of those directions, it walks you through pulling the code set IDs, which list all the positions, because every position has a code, like 123 is teacher or something like that. It will give you so that you'll know what everybody needs to be, and then you can just pull a list of all your employees and in a spreadsheet fill in, these are all this, these are all that, and import them all in at one time.
Okay, I'm sure it's in some past emails, so I'll try to look that up.
Yeah, let me I've got it. Mass import staff positions. Copy this link. But y'all, I was gonna give y'all a wealth of knowledge today. All right, so there's that link. Oh, I lost place in chat. Just with that, out an account, go to AIM, create it. Okay. Teresa, has any information been released about collecting driver's license information for employees with board vehicles? So we are going to work on getting the requirements out to you, but to kind of give you a heads up on it, on staff, in a staff record, there has been a new field added in for driver's license. That is going to be required for your bus drivers, because we'll be checking for the bus certification, bus drivers, CDLs, all that kind of stuff, and cross-referencing that. So that hasn't come out now yet because that has just been added in. But yes, we will have an official statement come out saying that is required, who it is required on, and we will put a state level validation in there eventually that says if you have somebody in a position as a bus driver, that they have a driver's license entered and on their information page. So that is coming down the pipe. Melissa, will improper certification block a teacher from being scheduled for courses not certified? No, Melissa, we will not dare do that to you, because we know we are on a teaching shortage and y'all need bodies. We get that.
Stacy.
Yeah.
Quick question. Some of mine that are coming up as invalid positions are my district office coordinators, like my transportation director. He has no certifications or endorsements, so it throws an error on him if I put him in as transportation supervisor. Same thing with our attendance officer, our CMP director. What do we do about those?
Well, I mean, there's nothing that you're going to do about them, and they're not going to be on any state or federal report that's going to harm you in any way. So don't worry about that. But do keep in mind that if you look, and it's back on the code manual list, that if you look at those positions, there are. So if you look at those staff positions, there are certifications and endorsements that should be had on some of those. And so it doesn't mean that we don't hire people that don't have them, because we do all the time. But if you want to know who is certified for it and who is endorsed for it, you can get those lists here. Nothing's going to happen other than you're getting flagged of, hey, do you realize you put somebody in there who doesn't have an endorsement to actually be this person? Well, yeah, then you just rock on with it.
Okay.
Nicole's asking, what position would you use for family community engagement coordinator? Oh, that's a good question. Kelly, would y'all know off the top of your head which one of these staff positions might be the best for a person who is a family and community engagement coordinator?
Let me look on there.
And we will say we have had to add some new positions as we've gone along and noted need for them. So it's not like it won't eventually be in there if it's not there yet. I don't
see it. Or one closely related. It may be one closely related. I would have to go back through it.
So Nicole, shoot us an email and we'll
Yes.
tag team, see if we can find one on here. And if not, if we see that we need to get one created to fit that position out there, then we will definitely work on that. Shelly, what have you emailed the help desk about? And if you hadn't get a response, I'd
Yeah, we're missing several staff positions. You pretty much answered my question
okay.
when with Nicole's. That we're missing that particular one. We're missing home liaison. There's a couple of others, but I can shoot you an email of the ones that we're missing that we're not finding to be able to assign.
Okay. Okay, yeah, just shoot those to me and I'll get with the ladies in certification and we'll go through those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Sandy, you said, where do you find the information to add it to the report? So if you're on the PowerSchool website that I have, this enterprise report block right here, at the bottom of it is the spreadsheet of all of these reports. And so you'll find it on here. So that's staff certification one. And I'm going to put the updated one on here. So you might want to hang, I'll find it today. I'll get that email from Scott and update that today. So y'all can get the newest one added on there. And somebody said, how do we get this sheet that I'm on at the moment? So I will take this tab and paste it in here. That will be straight to it. Lynn, what staff position would you use for graduation coach? So that would be your college and career coach. Is that one? I believe that one's in there. I see teacher, music, and visual art. What about dance and theater? Is dance and because wasn't there just teacher art and those are considered the arts, Andy? Or
no, they can have theater certification and dance certification. Even though we don't have certification in dance in Alabama, it is reciprocal from other states.
So Kelly, did that get separated out in the staff positions? Let's do a control F. Arts, bands.
Let me see. I'm trying to follow yours as you're going through.
Yeah. Let's see what we got under teacher. Actually, let's do this.
I see music and visual arts. What about dancing? Do they not have one under there for fine arts?
That's what I'm looking. So I got music, visual arts, teacher, leader, teacher gifted. I do not see one, so that might be one.
Scroll down just a little bit more again, Stacy. Keep going. It may be just teacher regular, but I mean, for, you know, but I know want to be more specific. No.
Yeah, so for now, do teacher regular and yeah, Andy, let's get with certification and talk about needs of that other because we'd have to get some of this information from you. Let's see.
Andy, you can send me an email or come and see me, either one. Probably send me an email.
I have one quick question about the staff information tab.
Mm-hmm.
So if they, if up there in the staff position, that position ends, do you move it down to employment history or employee history?
Yes. Yes.
So once it ends, you move it down, so it's not up in.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. You only want staff position to be current information.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Carrie said you don't have the co-teacher role or the co-teaching roles list. in your security setup?
Yes, when I went to that co-teaching roles list and security setup, I have lots of extra things, but I don't have one listed as co-teacher. I had the others on your list. So, but I don't have one called co-teacher at all.
Okay. Okay, because this is now locked, Kara, go ahead and put in a PowerSchool support ticket so they can get that added in there for you.
But I'm gonna give you something to your brother.
Just delete out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you.
Now, Brian, what do you mean you use second primary? Because there is no such thing as second primary.
Yeah,
If
that's
you've
what I was
created,
just noticing. I was comparing
Yeah.
my list to your list, and so these are locked now.
Yes, they're supposed to be.
All right, so do I have the ability to remove those that I see in here, or is that something that PowerSchool needs to do when they update my list? And do I
No,
need to?
you're gonna need to find any teacher that you actually put in that role and change them first before you'll be able to get rid of it.
All right, that's what I thought. So I got to go clean them and unassign them, and then put in the ticket.
Yep.
To say,
Well, okay, Jill says that she was able to edit her second primary to co-teacher.
okay, I can try that
So
too.
see if yours will still allow that.
I'm doing that now.
Where's my?
What was yours? I mean, is it just co-teacher or?
Yes. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. Yeah, it's just co-teacher.
Okay.
And make sure, the biggest thing, make sure these codes are correct.
They are not. Yeah. Mine are all R codes.
Should be T codes. Oh, I've got so many tabs open. Yeah, it should correlate with these codes right here.
All right, I've got that pulled up. So, which tab is that? Teacher roles.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I've got a good bit of cleanup to do.
Okay.
But I believe I'm trying to change the code, but it allowed me to change it.
Perfect.
So if I can do
Jill,
that.
you see our codes too?
Yeah, I changed the alt code to T20 from R20.
Yeah, let me make a note of this because that worries me if we've got R codes across the state and they're supposed to be T codes.
Yeah, I've got I don't know where these came from. I don't think anybody in my district did this, but I've got like.
Well, we know that there was some implementation that was set up incorrectly, and this could be one that we just hadn't caught up yet.
All right, so let me ask you this last thing. So since I can adjust this, and I took a screenshot of your thing, and I've got the code manual. If I can clean it up, do I have to do a ticket, or can I just clean it?
You can just clean it then if they haven't locked it down yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have made huge progress today. I think lots of information were given. I hope y'all found this very beneficial. I'm going to stop the recording so it can start rendering. And as soon as it is